My dear students, I welcome all of you for today's session on system modeling and simulation. In this session, let me have a discussion about simulation examples. Till now, we came to know what actually simulation, what actually models, and we also came to know about the system environment. Clear? So now, and also we had a discussion about steps in simulation study. Right. So today in this session, I'll tell you, okay, how to solve any problem. Got it? Using simulation. I mean, in this session, I'll present you several examples of simulations that can be performed by devising a simulation table. I repeat, in this session, I will present you several examples of simulations that can be performed by devising a simulation table. Means here to solve a problem, okay, I will develop a simulation table. Also in the form of a tabular form, that is in a table form. Got it? So that I'll call a simulation table. This table either you can design manually using pen and paper, or you can make use of your spreadsheet. Got it? For example, say MS Excel. Clear? So, and, and what actually simulation table means? This table provides you a systematic method for tracking system state over time. Means through this table, okay, through the simulation table, you can track what may be the state of the system at any point of time. Clear? So the main thing you're going to study in this session is designing a simulation table. For some examples, to make you understand easily, I will take you an example of single server queuing system initially. Got it? Let me consider a banking system for an example. Here. So, and one more thing I need to tell you, the simulation table, okay, through these examples, what we are going to discuss, okay, will provide you insight into the methodology of discrete system simulation. Got it? And descriptive statistics used for predicting system performance. Got it? Through this table, I mean to say, through this table, okay, uh, developed for some examples, will provide you insight into methodology of discrete system simulation. And also, it describes the statistics that you are going to use to predict system performance. Clear? So coming to the agenda of this session. So first, okay, you are given a problem. Okay, let it be a single server queuing system. Got it? And you need to develop a model for this. Okay, this single server queuing system. Okay, let me say I'm developing a simulation table. Got it? So what are the steps I need to follow? Means first I will understand what the problem, what the system is actually, and what are the possible inputs for that particular system, and what are the responses I should evaluate. Got it? So everything I should analyze. Then once I come to know what are the possible inputs, correct? And what performance measurement, what response, what performance measurement should be evaluated, then I need to follow some steps to design a table. Got it? So first, I'll give you a discussion about simulation steps using simulation table. Got it? So I mean, what are the things first we need to extract before we initiate constructing a table? Got it? Then I'll show you what the generic simulation table format means, how simulation table will resemble. Got it? Clear? I'll show you about that. Then I will give you an example of queuing system as per single server queuing system, how it looks. I'll present you how usually single server queuing system will look. Got it? Got it? For say for an example of a banking system. Okay, banking system, there may be more number of servers. Let me consider like assume there is one server in a bank. Got it? So then what actually single server simulation? Okay, and one more thing. Okay, in any system, usually a single server queuing system. Okay, there are two types of events that are going to occur. We call arrival event and departure event. So I told you about arrival event and departure event earlier. Okay, so what actually arrival event? Event, I told you, right? What actually an event? Event is some occurrence. Event is some occurrence that causes state of the system to get changed. Clear? And let me give you an example for arrival event. Got it? So in bank, okay, in bank, if you consider, there are several state variables. Got it? Let me tell you one state variable, that is number of customers in a bank. Got it? Let me assume one state variable, number of customers in a bank at any point of time. Okay, now if a new customer arrives to bank, what happens? An event triggered, that is an arrival event. And it causes state of the system to change, right? I mean, now the number of customers in a bank got increased by 1. Here, I mean, state variable got changed. Now, one more event is the service completion event, or I'll call it departure event. Event is an occurrence that causes state of system to change. Clear? Now, let me say you have been to customer for withdrawing some amount. As soon as you get your amount withdrawn, what you will do? I mean, your service got finished, right? You come for a withdrawal service. So you are given a withdrawal leave, okay? To a cashier, has a deducted amount in your account and even given a cash to you. I mean, what the service you expected from the bank got finished. So as soon as your service got finished, what you will do? You will depart from the bank. You will come out of the bank. Is it? You will depart from the bank. So this we call departure event. Means as soon as you depart from the bank, an event, departure event gets triggered. And now state variable, that is number of customers in bank, what? Get reduced by 1. Got it? So these two things will, these two types of event we will discuss. Okay, we know arrival event, departure event, but in a simulation table, but when we implement, okay, what happens? Is there any other state variables apart from number of customers that gets affected by arrival event and departure event? Okay, we need to make changes to them too. We will see in detail about these two events. Clear? So now coming to simulation steps using simulation table. Okay, so you are given one system and you want to simulate that system using simulation table. Got it? So before you design a simulation table, either manually using pen and paper or using some spreadsheet software, few things you need to know about those systems. Got it? So those things I will show you in the form of steps. First step is that to determine the characteristics of each of the inputs to the simulation. Okay, I mean, for example, let me consider it's a banking system. In banking system, okay, there are two inputs. Let me consider for simplicity. One is what may be the impossible inputs for a bank. I need to analyze. Okay, the customers. Okay, customers may be an input to a bank. Clear? So I need to have some assumption. Okay, I will simulate a bank for say for 2 hours. Okay, I'm assume I'm going to simulate bank for 2 hours. In this 2 hours duration, I need to assume how many customers may arrive. Got it? And what may be the possible inter-arrival times between customers? Means what may be the time gap? Inter-arrival time means the time between two arrivals of customers. Got it? Means say, for example, first customer arrive at we'll assume at time 0 as soon as the bank comes. Thus, okay, let me assume first customer arrive, that is at time 0. And let me say next customer will arrive uh, for next see let me tell you, for an example, bank commences at 9:30 a.m. right, 9:30 a.m. But for simplicity, I'll assume it as time 0. First customer arrived. So next customer, let me assume it will come at 9:45. 9:45. In real time, it's 9:45. Second customer is going to arrive. But inter-arrival time for the second customer, I'll call it as 15 minutes. Because the time between the first arrival, that is time 0, means real time 9:30 am. And the second arrival, that is 9:45, is 15 minutes gap. This is an inter-arrival time. Got it? I mean to say, first and foremost thing, you need to identify the characteristics. Means you need to know when each customer will arrive to bank in this 2 hours duration. Say you're simulating for 2 hours. Got it? In this 2 hours, any number of customers may arrive, but you need to know inter-arrival times between consecutive arrivals. Got it? Say, for example, let me say the third customer will arrive at 9:50. Third customer arrive at 9:50. Got it? So, what is inter-arrival time of third customer now? Second customer arrived at 9:45. Third customer arrives at 9:50. Means 5 minutes gap. This is an inter-arrival time for third customer. Clear with this? So let me tell you, for the first customer, inter-arrival time is 0 because he arrives as soon as the bank commences. And one more thing, before first customer arrives, no other customers, right? First customer is the first to arrive to the bank. So his inter-arrival time is always 0. Got it? So second customer, inter-arrival time of second customer is what I said, 9:45 means 15 minutes. Got it? So what about when the third customer arrives? In my example, I can say 9:50. So inter-arrival time between previous arrival, that is the arrival of second customer, and the arrival of third customer is 5 minutes gap. Got it? So inter-arrival time for third customer is 5 minutes. Yeah. So I repeat, inter-arrival time of first customer is 0. Inter-arrival time of second customer is 15 minutes. Inter-arrival time of third customer is 5 minutes. Got it? So not only inter-arrival time is the only input. Okay. I may need to consider even service time as an input. Okay. I mean, let me tell you, first customer might have come for a loan inquiry. Second customer might have come for a deposit. Third customer might have come for withdrawal. So based on the service the customer requires, the service time is going to vary, right? Got it? So in simulation, we should not be fixed that first customer has come for a loan inquiry only. He might have also came for the first customer might would have came for withdrawal also. Got it? Yeah. I mean, for whatever the type of service the customers have arrived. Got it? That should not be fixed. That should be considered random. I mean, and next run, if I consider tomorrow, the first customer of tomorrow might come for withdrawal. Got it? Second customer might come for deposit. Third customer might come for loan inquiry. Got it? So, means service time varies. Okay, we need to see. We should not assume that first customer has come for loan inquiry, whatever it be. So, one more input should be given. That is service time. Okay, we need some assumption. Okay, let the service time for first customer be 5 minutes. Got it? Let second service time for second customer be 3 minutes. Let the service time for uh, third customer be 7 minutes. Got it? Okay. Let me tell you. Uh, Clear. Listen here. I'll tell you one thing. Let me assume. What I said, first customer will arrive at time 0. Is it clear? That is 9:30. Second customer will arrive at 9:45, but that is 15 minutes gap. Third customer will arrive at 9:50, right? Now let me assume first customer service time is 10 minutes. First customer service time is 10 minutes. So he will come at 9:30. Server is idle. Clear? His service begins immediately, right? His service begins immediately and he will depart from the bank at 9:40. As soon as he comes at 9:30, service begins. His service time is 10 minutes. So he will depart at 9:40. So there was no delay for first customer. So second customer comes at 9:45. Second customer comes at 9:45. Let me assume service time for second customer. Let me assume service time for second customer is 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Second customer service time is 8 minutes. So see here, first customer came at 9:30, departed at 9:40. From 9:40 to 9:45, server was busy. Idle. Server was idle. From 9:40 to 9:45, server was idle. At 9:45, second customer comes. Okay, from 9:45 for up to next 8 minutes. That is 9:53. He will be served because second customer service time, whatever is 8 minutes. Got it? So second customer will arrive at 9:45. Server is idle, right? So his service begins immediately at 9:45. He will be served until next 8 minutes. That is up to 9:50. So even there is no delay for second customer. Got it? So what about third customer? I said he will come at 9:50. Clear? Third customer will come at what time? 9:50. Clear? So when third customer comes at 9:50, we find server to be busy. When third customer arrives, server is busy serving the second customer, right? When third customer arrives at 9:50, server is busy serving second customer. So third customer is made to wait for 3 more minutes. Third customer is made to wait for 3 more minutes. But so that second customer service is going to finish. I repeat, third customer when he arrives at 9:50, server is found to be busy serving second customer. Clear? Server is found to be busy serving second customer. So third customer now he made to wait for next 3 minutes, that is up to 9:53. At what time? At that particular point of time, second customer service is going to finish. Got it? Then this service for third customer will begin. Clear? So I mean, here you need to observe there is a delay for third customer. There is a delay for third customer, and the delay is 3 minutes. Clear? The delay is 3 minutes. Got it? Clear? So here, in this case, what I have seen, there was no delay for first two customers, whereas there was delay for third customer. Clear? So, the input, no, let me pause. The input, what I consider, one is enter arrival time and service time. Based on this input, what we observed, some customers experienced no delay, whereas some customer experiences delay. Got it? The inputs are only two things: enter arrival time and service time. And when we try to solve this using simulation table, we need to consider there might be delay for some customers, whereas there won't be delay for some customers. Got it? So apart from this delay, maybe one response. What I said, determine the characteristics of each of the inputs to simulation. That is probability distribution. So in this table, when solving, I've given an input, inter-arrival time and service times. So what I need to estimate, those we call performance measurements. Got it? One thing, let me say, one performance measurement may be, I want to determine what may be the average delay of each customer. Clear? I want to determine what may be the average delay of each customer. That may be one performance. Or else I want to determine how efficiently server is utilized. Got it? How efficiently server is utilized. That may be the second response performance measurement. Or I may need to determine what may be the average response time. Average delay is different, average response time is different. Okay, I may need to determine average response time of each customer. I mean to say response time is the moment the customer arrives to the bank to the moment it departs from the bank. In this case, first customer arrived at what? 9:30, departed at 9:40. Got it? Considering his service time to 10 minutes. Because 9:30 server's idle, his service begins immediately. 9:40 it departs. So his response time is 10 minutes. Now from 9:40 to 9:45 server is idle. 9:40 to 9:45 server is idle. You need to have a note of it. Got it? So 9:45 second customer will come. Server is idle. His service begins immediately. His service is going to end at 9:53, assuming his service time is 8 minutes. So he came at 9:45, departed at 9:53. So what is the response time for second customer? 8 minutes. Got it? Third customer will come at 9:50, but server is busy serving second customer. So he is made to wait what? For next 3 minutes. So his service begins at 9:50. Even though he has come at 9:50, service begins at 9:53. And 9:53, and assuming his service to be 5 minutes, his service is going to end at 9:58. Got it? Assuming the service time for third customer, assuming service time for third customer 5 minutes, his service is going to end at 9:58. Yeah. I repeat, third customer arrives at 9:50, but server is busy serving second customer. Got it? So he is made to wait till 9:53. At 9:53, his service begins and his service ends at 9:58, assuming his service time to be 5 minutes. So what is response time for third customer now? Response time, what I said, the time he arrives to bank to the time it departs from the bank. He arrived at 9:50, but departs at 9:58. Got it? He arrives at 9:50, it departs at 9:58. Even though his service time is 5 minutes, because he was made to wait for 3 minutes. Got it? So response time of third customer is 8 minutes. Got it? So this may be one performance measurements I need to evaluate. Clear with this? All of you clear? Got it? Now, let me tell you how we'll design a table. So once you have all this in mind, okay, once you have studied the system, Got it? I mean, what are the possible inputs to the system? And whenever an event occurs, what are the possible changes that may happen within a system? Got it? And what are the performance measurements? Let me call it as a response. I'm concerned with. I'm concerned to evaluate everything you have in mind. Got it? So now we need to design a simulation table, as you can see in the slide. What you're seeing on the slide. Okay, clear? So see here. So in simulation table is something like, okay. See, there are two cases here in this table. What you can see, there are n repetitions. N repetitions. Okay. This n, it may be fixed or it may be random. Let me tell you, it may be fixed or it may be random. When I call it's a fixed means, suppose I will ask you a question, simulate this system for n customers. For n customers, I've asked you a question, simulate this system. For I've asked you to simulate this system for n customers. So in that case, I have specified n, right? So I've given you two inputs. One is inter-arrival times of all these n customers and service times of all these n customers. So you will simulate. So n is fixed in this case because I told you you should simulate for n customers, and I've given you inter-arrival times of this n customers and in service times of this n customers. So n is fixed. When I say random, okay, I won't tell you to simulate for n customers. Got it? I'll tell you to simulate for 2 hours. I'll tell you to simulate for 2 hours. Got it? And I will, what I'll tell you, see, this may be the possible inter-arrival times for the consecutive arrivals. Got it? I mean to say, I will I will give you some random input numbers. I will give you some random input numbers, okay, for inter-arrival time. Also, I will give you some random input numbers for service times. Got it? I mean, the first random number followed by second random number followed by third random number, so and so. They may represent service times of respective customers. I repeat, first random number, second random number, third random number of service times. Got it? What they represent means first customer service time, second customer service time, third customer service time, so and so. Got it? I will give this a large, infinitely large sequence I might have given you. Similarly, I will, for inter-arrival time, what I will do, for first customer, inter-arrival time is 0. Clear? For first customer, inter-arrival time is 0. Because we will assume that first customer arrives as soon as the system starts. Got it? So now I'll give you again random numbers for the subsequent arrivals. Got it? I mean second random number, third random number, fourth random number, fifth random number, so and so. Got it? Where second random number give you inter-arrival time of second customer. Third random number will give you inter-arrival time of third customer. Fourth random number will give you inter-arrival time of fourth customer. Got it? So after giving this sequence, okay, what I'll ask you to simulate up to 2 hours. So you are simulating for 2 hours. Got it? Now you are simulating for 2 hours. Now we done in 2 hours. Maybe 10 customers may come and depart, or in 2 hours maybe 15 customers may come and depart. In 2 hours, maybe 20 customers may come and depart, right? We don't know. Here, the number of customers come and depart from the bank within 2 hours, it's random. It's not fixed. But I've given you the inputs, random numbers. both for service time and both for inter-arrival. Got it? So, given input random numbers for both service time and inter-arrival time. Got it? Clear with this? So now in this case, in second case, n is random, because if into us only 10 customers are arriving and departing from the bank, in table there will be only 10 rows. Clear? If in 2 hours 15 customers will arrive and depart, in table there will be 15 rows. In 2 hours, if 20 customers arrive and depart, in table there will be 20 rows. So it's random. Whereas in first case, I said n is fixed, means they are telling you to simulate for some 10 customers. And in that case, I'll give 10 inputs for inter-arrival time and service time. In inter-arrival time, I'll give you 9 inputs, because first inter-arrival time is always 0. Got it? We'll see later. Now, once you have all these inputs, okay, see here, the first step represents initial condition of a system. I will tell you, first step represents initial condition of a system. Initial condition of a system. Okay. So inputs are shown you 4 columns, right? 4 means still, as we see here, depending on the system, there may be any number of inputs. Got it? But what actually I told you is 2 types of input. One is inter-arrival time and service time. Clear? I have told you about the inter-arrival time and service time. Got it? For example, say column number xi1 represents inter-arrival time. Column number xi2 represents service time. Got it? Column number xi1 represents inter-arrival time. Column number xi2 represents service time. Got it? Clear? Apart from this, there may be some other input also, depending on the problem in consideration. And in response, I have shown only one column yi. See, response means performance measurement. Okay. For example, let me say, to make you simple, to make you understand simple. Okay. To make you understand simple, let me relate this table. Let me relate this table with a single server queuing system. Okay, let me relate this table with a banking system with only one server. See here, to make you understand easily, I will relate this, okay, table with a banking system with single server. Got it? So now, let me say n is 3. Okay, let me say for simplicity, let me assume n is 3. 1, 2, 3 rows you need to build. Okay. So in bank, okay, there are 2 inputs. Okay. Let inter-arrival time, through inter-arrival time, I will determine arrival time. Okay, there's something inter-arrival time, arrival time, I will tell you. Okay, what I said earlier, and let me say here, I'm concerned with the average response time. Okay, average response time of a customer means the time customer arrives to the time customer departs. The time customer arrives to the time the customer departs, we call response time of that particular customer. I repeat, response time of one customer is the time he arrives to the time he departs. Clear? The time he arrives to the time he departs. So to compute average response time, we need to have response time of each customers. We need to have response time of each customers. Sum it, divide by n. Clear? Got it? So now what I said, the first customer will arrive at time what? 0. First customer will arrive at time 0. So let me think, okay, that xi1 to represent arrival time, not inter-arrival time, arrival time of customers. Xi to represent service time. So first customer arrives at time 0. What is the service time? Service time, let it be 10 minutes. Let it be 10 minutes. So at time 0, a service begins immediately. Got it? At time 0, I mean 9:30 is service begins immediately. 9:40 is service ends. Clear? So what is response time? From he arrives at 9:30, departs at 9:40. So response time is 10 minutes. Clear? Response time is 10 minutes. So first row that Y1 is there, na, it becomes 10 minutes. That represents response time of first customer. Clear? So inter-arrival time of second customer, what I said, 15 minutes. Inter-arrival time of second customer is 15 minutes. Means he will arrive at 9:45. So arrival time is 9:45. In simulation, I consider it as 15 minutes. Okay, 15 minutes rather than calling 9:45, 15. So is service, let me assume 8 minutes. 8 minutes. That is one more input. X22 is 8 now. X21 it's 15. X22, okay, it's 8. Got it? X21, that is arrival time. X21 is an arrival time of second customer at 9:45, that is 15. Okay, at time 15. Okay, X22, it's service time of second customer 8 minutes. So second customer service begins at what? 9:45 at time 15, ends at what? At 9:53. Okay, 9:53. I mean 23. Got it? 9:53 or 23. So his response time is he arrived at 9:45, departs at 9:53. So Y2 is 8 minutes. Clear? Y2 is 8 minutes. So what is Y1? 10 minutes. Response time of first customer. Y2 is 8 minutes. Response time of second customer. So now third customer, what I said, inter-arrival time is 5 minutes, right? Inter-arrival time is 5 minutes. Second customer arrived at 9:45. So after 5 minutes plus 9:50. So arrival time of third customer is 9:50. I mean he arrived at 9:50. Clear? That is in terms of simulation clock. It is 20. In terms of simulation clock, it is 20. Real time 9:50. Real time 9:50. In simulation, it is 20. So when he arrived, okay, and let me assume his service time is 5 minutes. His service time is 5 minutes. He arrives at 9:50, right? But he is delayed until 9:53. His service begins at 9:53, ends at 9:58. So his service time, that is X23, X32. This is an X32 service time of third customer. X32 service time of third customer is 5 minutes. X31 arrival time of third customer is 9:50. X31 arrival time. X31 arrival time of third customer is 9:50. Service time X32 of third customer is 5 minutes. But his service begins at 9:53. So his service ends at 9:58. So his response time is 8 minutes, even though service time is 5 minutes. So now we have response time of all the customers, 3 customers. Then to determine average response time, we need to sum the response times of these 3 customers and divide by. Got it? So clear with this? Any doubt? Hope all of you got to know about this table, right? So now, see here, the first, see, I told you just about the steps you need to follow when you construct a simulation table, right? That is, you need to identify characteristics of each of the inputs to the simulation. Got it? Some inputs may be inter-arrival time, through which you can obtain arrival time and service time. Clear? Then you need to construct a simulation table. Okay. So now you have inputs, right? Now we have inputs. Got it? Say for example, I'm simulating for banking system means I have given 2 inputs, inter-arrival times and service time. So first thing what I need to do, first and foremost thing, okay, I need to initialize the table by filling in the data to repetition 1. I repeat, listen cautiously. Okay, in constructing a table, okay, in constructing a table, okay, I have given inputs, right? Enter arrival times for each customers have been given. Service times have been given. So now I know when first customer is going to arrive, right? And what's the service time for first customer? I know, right? Clear. So first step is initializing repetition 1. So initialize the table by filling in the data for repetition 1. Okay. So now let me say arrival time of first customer is 0, right? So in repetition 1, in place of x11, I will fill 0. Now, for example, okay, for example, let the service time for this first customer be 10 minutes. So in place of x12, what I'll do? I'll fill 10 minutes. Got it? Apart from these two inputs, there may be some other inputs. So let me not concern with those. Now, I've initialized the table by filling in the data for repetition 1. Got it? Now, in this repetition 1, okay, I need to determine what is y1, right? So, for example, let me assume y1. Let me assume y1, okay, in general, yi, okay, be the response time of ith customer. Got it? Let me assume in general, yi be the response time of ith customer. What is response time? The moment the customer arrives to the system, to the moment the customer departs from the system. Clear? Clear with this? So for the with the input of first customer, okay, when did first customer arrive to the system? At time 0. When he arrived to the system at time 0, server is idle, right? So his service begins immediately, and it's been stated that service time for first customer is 10 minutes. So immediately after 10 minutes, his service is going to finish. Okay, I mean in next 10 minutes, his service is going to finish. As soon as his service is going to finish, he will depart from the system. So from the moment he arrived to the system to the moment he departed from the system, the time was 10 minutes. Means response time for first customer is 10 minutes. So y1, what is y1? 10. Clear with this? Okay. So now once we have initialized repetition 1, okay, got it. So next, for each repetition I, okay, I need to generate a value for all the inputs. I repeat, once I have initialized repetition 1, okay, as repetition 1 is initialized, okay. So next what I should do, for each repetition I should generate a value for all inputs. Okay, for each repetition to next, okay, I need to generate a value for all inputs xi1, xi2, and so on. So, and not only generating input, okay, we need to evaluate a function response. Okay, clear? We need to evaluate a response. Okay. For example, let me tell you. Now, to determine data for repetition 2, okay. What I have assumed, inter arrival time for second customer is what I assume to be 15 minutes. Got it? Means 15 minutes gap between first customer's arrival and second customer arrival. So what is x11 actually? It's 0. Means first customer arrived at time 0. So what will be x21 then? It's 15. So now we'll have x21 to be 15. So, and what I let service time, okay, let service time, okay, for second customer be 8 minutes. Got it? So then x22 equals 8. So then what will be y2? Y2, what is Y2? Response time of second customer. Second customer arrived at what time? At time 15. The service time was 8 minutes. So it departed at time 23. So response time is 8 minutes. Okay. Now, I need to determine X31. Okay. I need to determine data for, I need to generate inputs for repetition 3. Okay. What I told, inter arrival time for third customer is 5 minutes. Inter arrival time for a third customer. Listen, this is very important step. First step, it's very important. Listen cautiously. Inter arrival time for third customer is 5 minutes. Got it? Clear? So, man, what is X21? I mean, when did second customer arrive? At time 15. That is X21 is 15. Second customer arrived at time 15. So, third customer arrived after 5 minutes. Then the second customer's arrival. So it means third customer will arrive at time 20. So what is X31? It is 20. So what is X31? It is 20. Got it? So now X31 is 20. Okay. Now let me say service time for this third customer be 5 minutes. Got it? So what is X32? It is 5. Service time for third customer, let me assume 5 minutes. So X32 is 5. So can you tell me what is response time for third customer? What will be the response time for third customer? See, what actual response time? From the moment the customer arrives to the moment the customer departs. So third customer arrive at time 20, right? Third customer will arrive at time 20. Clear? But what about the status of server? Server is busy serving second customer. Clear? I repeat, third customer arrives at time 20, but server is busy serving second customer. So second customer will be served till for some more 3 more minutes. Got it? I mean, second customer service is going to end at time 23. See, service time of second, listen, service time of second customer was 8 minutes. His service started at time 15. So his service is going to end at time 23. So server is going to become free at what? At time 23. So even though third customer arrive at time 20, he need to wait until time 23. So at time 23, third customer service will begin and it will take 5 more minutes. Okay, and will end at time 28. Got it? So third customer arrives at time 20, but it will depart from the system when his service completes at time 28. So response time for third customer is what? It is 8 minutes. Got it? Not 5 minutes. It is response time for third customer is 8 minutes. Clear? So all of you got to know about this concept. Clear? It's very important. So now, see here, in this inputs, okay, a bit for with the input, okay. See, just observe table. I just shown it's an inputs. Clear? One is arrival time and service time. But to compute the response time, what I need to know to compute response time, okay, I need to track, okay, once there are one service that I mean to compute response time. Got it? I need to know, I repeat, to compute response time of ith customer, I need to know when ith customer will arrive. Of course, xi1 will give that data. xi1 will give that data, means arrival times of ith customer. So apart from that, I need to track, I need to make use of one temporary columns, okay, temporary variables. Okay, that tracks, okay, when the ith customer will depart. I repeat, apart from xi1, xi2, let me have some other xi3. say xi3. Okay, I repeat xi3. So this xi3, let it give the detail about when ith customer will depart from the system. But I repeat, let there be xi3 that gives data, that gives about data about when ith customer will depart, will go out of the system. Clear? So in that case, clear with this, let there be xi3, xi3. Okay, xi3, let it represents one ith customer will depart from the system. Got it? So in this case, okay, for example, what I consider, suppose xi3 represents the departure time of ith customer, then what will be x3 x13? What will be x13 then? When first customer is going to depart, first customer is going to depart at what? At time 10 minutes, because service time of a first customer is 10 minutes, right? His service begins at what? When is going to arrive? At time 0, service immediately begins. Service ends at 10 minutes. So it departs at what? 10 minutes. Got it? So x 13 will be 10. Got it? x13 will be 10 because first customer will depart at time 10. Got it? So second customer arrived at time 15, right? Second customer arrived at what? Time 15. Service time is 8 minutes. So he will depart. Second customer will depart at what? At what time? 23. Got it? So x23 is 23. Got it? Yeah. So x23 is 23 means second customer will depart at time 23. Got it? So third customer when is going to depart? At time 28. Clear? So third customer, because third customer arrives at time 20, but service begins at 23, ends at 28. So I will depart at 28. So x23 is 28. Clear? So then if I use the what is the advantage of using xi3? I'll tell you. So I have xi1, xi2, xi3. Then what is yi? Yi, response time of customers, right? Ith customer is nothing but xi3 minus xi1. Clear? Yi is nothing but xi3 minus xi1. I repeat, yi, response time of ith customer, is xi3, the departure time of ith customer, minus xi1, arrival time of ith customer. Means difference between the departure time and arrival time of ith customer is nothing but a response time of ith customer. Clear? So this is how we are going to fill the repetitions. Okay. So now assume that my objective is determine average response time. My objective is to determine average response time. Got it? So in the last column, I have response time of all nth customers, right? I have response time of all n customers, right? Let me sum those response times and let me divide by n. See, if my objective is determining average response time, okay, in the table I have response time of all n customers. Let me sum all n customers response time. Let me divide it by n. It gives average response. Clear? So all of you have understood this simulation table. So now, okay. Let me have a discussion about simulation of queuing systems. Okay. Till now, what example I took? Okay, that's actually a queuing system. But let me visualize how that queuing system will look. So let me visualize how queuing system will appear. Got it? So let me consider the queuing system to be a banking system with only one server. Okay, let me assume there may be any number of servers. For simplicity, let me assume queuing system to be a banking system with only one server. Got it? So who are customers to the bank? Customers to the bank, okay, will exit outside the bank, right? So outside the bank, the environment outside the bank, which constitute customers of the bank. Clear? I repeat, the environment outside the bank, which includes customers, which constitute customers for the bank. Okay, got it? So that particular environment, we call it's a calling population. Got it? So I mean, calling population means it's outside the system. Okay, outside the system. Got it? Outside the bank, all those customers. Got it? They belong to one group we call calling population. Clear? So then, clear? Just I'll tell you in detail, but just to make you simplicity, okay? Those customers who are outside the bank, okay? Got it? Everyone we belong them to belong in a group called calling population. So now this there's something waiting line, right? So what actually waiting line man? Let me tell you. Now one customer will enter the bank. A customer will enter the bank. Okay. So now when he enters the bank, there's only one server, I assume. Got it? So if prior to his arrival, any other customers has arrived to the bank, okay, what he will getting his service being done. So he will be at the server is servicing him. So what this customer should do, he should enter into a queue. That queue I'll call a waiting line. Got it? So this waiting line is within a system. I repeat, waiting line is within a system. Got it? Clear with this? So clear. So when a customer arrives to the bank, if server is busy serving some other customer, this customer should enter into a waiting line. Got it? Now what happens? Now let me say the customer is getting service done, is being served by the server. Okay, finishes his service. Okay, I mean the customer who is being serviced by a server finishes his service. So what he will do? As soon as customer gets his service finished, what he will do? He will depart from the bank, right? He will go out of the bank. He will go out of the bank. He will leave the server. He will go out of the bank. He will go out of the bank means where he will join? He will join again the environment outside the bank, and that I call a calling population. Clear? Clear with this? So when a customer gets his service done, he will leave the bank. He will leave the server. He will exit from the server and he will go out of the system. He will join a calling population. Now, what happens if any customer in the queue, assume that when the customer whose service finished and exits from the server, okay, and if there is any one customer in the queue, what happens? That customer will get service initiated, right? If any customer in the queue, then the first customer in the queue, okay, if any customers in the queue, then first customer in the queue will get service initiated by the server. Clear? Clear with this? So when the current server finishes his service by the server, he will depart and join calling population. He will depart and join calling population. And at that moment, if any customers are in the queue or in the waiting line, first customer in the waiting line will get service initiated. Got it? Yeah. So this is about how queuing system will appear. For simplicity, I have taken an example of single channel queuing system. Got it? See here the same thing. Okay. This is within a bank. Okay, let me assume arrival entry point is something, exit point is something. Entry point where customer arrives. Clear? Entry point where customer arrives. So as there's only one server. Got it? So as soon as customer enters to the bank, if server is busy, then they will join a queue of customers. Clear? Then one customer being serviced by server finishes his service, what will do? He will depart at exit point. Got it? Clear? Got it. So we have shown one circle at the server, right? That is customer in service currently, and the other customers are in queue. Got it? So customer arrives. If server is busy, what will do? He will join. See, when customer arrives, server is busy means he will join the. Got it? If server is not busy, he will get service immediately. Clear? Clear with this? So okay. See, we are concerned with two types of events. One is arrival event, and the other one is a departure event. Okay. See, one thing you need to know: arrival event. Okay. I need to consider what changes that may happen within a system. I need to consider what changes may happen on arrival event. See, when a customer arrives to the bank, okay, let me show you. Look at the flow chart. Arrival event. Now, customer arrives to the bank. Now, we need to look at server status. Server may be busy or may not be. Clear? Arrival event. Customer arrives to the bank. Got it? So when customer arrives to the bank, server may be busy or idle. If server is busy, what this customer will do? He will join the queue right here. If server is busy, then that customer unit enters queue. Got it? Clear? So arrival event, customer arrives to the bank, check for the status of server. Server might be busy or not. If busy, customers enter queue. If server is idle, I mean server is not busy, then server is idle means customer gets service. Got it? So unit enters service. So this is flow chart. So arrival event, clear? So in arrival event, on arrival event, look at status of server. Busy means unit, I mean customer enters with queue. Got it? Customer enters queue. If server is idle, means is not busy, customer will enter service, I mean customer gets service. Clear? So now, so in arrival event, what may be the queue conditions? Okay, let me tell you. See here, in this I have shown you something. Okay, what are the possible impossible things? Okay, so now let me assume. Okay, see server status. Let me assume there are two possibilities, right? Server may be busy or idle, queue may be or empty or not empty. Got it? If server is busy, can queue be empty? See, server is busy. Okay, server is busy, queue is not empty. Customer arrives. Server is found to be, see, server is busy. Listen, server is busy, queue is empty. Sorry, sir, queue is not empty. Let me not make you confused. See, server is busy. Okay, server is busy. Whether queue is empty or not. Server is busy. Whether queue is empty or not. A new customer when arrives. When server is busy, what he will do? He will join the queue. He will enter the queue, right? Clear? I repeat. See, server is busy. A new customer arrives. One new customer is there may be a queue of at least one customer, may not be queue. I mean, queue may be empty or not empty, but customer should enter the queue. That's it, right? So server is idle. Server is idle. Now server is idle. Okay. If server is idle means queue can't be empty. Is it possible? See, server is idle. Can queue can't be empty? It's impractical. If queue is not empty, then there is no question server will be idle, right? I repeat, if queue is not empty, there is no question for server to be idle, because in queue there are customer means how can server be idle? Clear? So next case, server is idle. Server is idle. Okay, server is idle. Now a new customer will arrive. There is no queue. Then what you will do? Server is idle. A new customer arrive. No queue means a new customer will enter service. So this is represented here. Just go through this, analyze once again. Now there's one more event, departure event. Okay. Now see that now customer will depart from the bank. Okay. Customer will depart from the server. So what should I look now? See, when customer will depart, okay, we need to look at the status of the queue. Okay, when customer departs from the server, look at the status of the queue. I mean, there are two things. Queue may be empty or not, right? When present customer departs from the bank, departs from the server, then queue can be empty or may not be empty. Clear? Suppose queue is empty. Assume that now the present customer departed from the server. There's no customer in the queue. Then what happens? Server will become idle, right? Server will become idle. So to track from when the server will become idle, let me use one more variable to track idle time. So let me initiate that begin server idle time. Got it? So when present customer departed, I look for status of queue. If no one in queue, idle time of server will begin. If anyone in queue, what happens? First customer in the queue will initiate service. Got it? So if queue is not empty, I mean another unit is waiting, another customer waiting, then remove that waiting unit from the queue who is at the front. Remove that waiting unit from the queue who is at the front and begin a service. Clear? Got it? Begin a service. So I repeat, when a present customer departs from the server, listen cautiously. When a present customer departs from the server, look at queue. Any unit waiting. If no, that is queue empty, then begin server idle time. If yes, remove the unit, remove the customer who is at front of the queue and begin a service. Got it? Now, let me say that again. Queue server is busy. Is a server status. Let me assume busy. Okay. Now queue status. Now the event is departure. Okay. Server was busy. Okay. Server is busy. Got it? Queue is empty. Can I see is if queue is departure event occurred, and queue found to be empty. See, departure occurred, okay, customer got departed, but there's no customer in the queue now. Can server be busy now? When there's no customer in the queue after departure, how can server be busy? It's impossible. Got it? Next, departure occurred, queue is not empty. Queue is not empty means at least one unit in the queue. Then how can server be idle? Okay, this is impossible situation. See, on departure event, okay, customer departs from the system. Got it? If customer departs from the system, got it, and assume there are no other customers, means queue is empty. Now queue is empty and the customer got departed, means server busy. Is it possible? It's an impossible, because customer departed and no customers in the queue. So server busy, it's an impossible state. Got it? Now departure happens. Okay, now the customer departs from the bank. Customer departs from the bank. Okay, but queue is not empty, means at least one customer in the queue waiting for service. Okay, when there is at least one customer waiting in the queue, means queue is not empty. Can server be idle? It's an impossible. Got it? So this impossible, impractical situation you need to know on departure event. Clear? Now, let me conclude with highlighting an important point, okay, on arrival event and departure event. Okay, see, it's very important point you need to know. Okay, when solving a problem using by constructing simulation table. Okay, see, now the event occurred is an arrival event. So when an event occurred is an arrival event means, I mean to say, a new customer arrives to the bank. So when a new customer arrives to the bank, what need to be observed? Okay, you need to, when a new customer arrives to the bank, okay, for solving the problem, we need to look at status of server. I repeat, it's very important. In case of arrival event, listen, in case of arrival event, okay, I mean when a customer arrives to the bank, okay, event triggered is arrival. So at that point of time, you look at status of server. Got it? I repeat, you need to look the status of server in case of arrival event. I repeat, you need to look what status of server in case of arrival event. Got it? So now, if server is idle, this new customer arrived will enter service. Got it? Now, when I looked at the status of server, found server to be idle means the new customer arrived will enter the service. Suppose if server is busy, so what happens? The new customer will enter to a waiting line. New customer will enter to a queue. Clear? So got it? So what is that important point you need to have in mind in case of arrival event? In case of arrival event, you need to look at status of server. Got it? So if server is idle, got it? So I mean server is not busy, the new customer will enter service. If server is busy, the new customer will enter the queue. Got it? This is very important point in case of arrival event. So let me review once again this. See here, new customer arrived. Okay, when new customer arrived, okay, the server might be busy. Means presently one customer is getting served. A new customer arrives. Server is busy means what new customer will do? Whether queue is empty or not empty, you should enter a queue. Got it? Clear? Now, when a customer arrives, clear? What I said now, a customer arrives, server is busy, means presently one customer is being served. Got it? So, whether queue is empty or not, just new customer should enter a queue. That is one case. Second case, a new customer will arrive Got it? Server is idle. Server is idle, new customer will arrive. So server is idle means no customer in the system, no customer in the bank, right? No customer in the bank, server will be idle. So no customer in the bank means queue not empty, queue not empty, false. No customer in the bank means server will be idle. No customer in the bank means server is idle. So queue not empty is false, impossible. Okay. So suppose a new customer arrives, server is idle. Server is idle. Queue is empty. Queue is empty means server is idle. See, queue empty doesn't include server is idle. Okay. Queue empty and server is idle, assume. So new customer will arrive, they will enter the service. So now, see what I said, in case of arrival event, you need to look status of what? Server. Got it? In case of arrival event, you need to look status of server. In case of departure event, very important, you need to look at status of queue, status of waiting line. I repeat, in case of departure event, to solve a problem, we need to look the status of waiting line. Got a status of queue means when a customer departs from the bank, when a customer departs from the server, we need to look whether any other customer are in the waiting unit, waiting line. I repeat, when a customer departs from the bank, when a customer departs from the bank or departs from the server, got it? We need to look any other customer waiting. No, if there are two cases, no or yes. If no customers are waiting, got it? Begin idle time of server. Got it? So I repeat, when a departure event occurs, okay, I mean a customer departs from the server, we need to look what status of the queue in this case. We need to look any customer waiting in the queue. If no customer waiting in the queue, then begin server idle time. If any customer waiting in the queue, remove the first customer who is at the front of the queue. Remove the customer who is at the front of the queue. Begin his service. Got it? So, for conclusion, what are the two important points you need to know? In case of arrival event, you need to look at status of server. In case of departure event, you need to look at status of waiting line. Got it? Clear? So if you are clear with these 2 points, okay, you can easily solve the problem using table. So I repeat once again, in case of arrival event, look at status of server. In case of departure event, look at status of queue. Got it? So this I said, right? Departure event happens. Okay. Departure event, customer departed. Now queue is empty, means no other customers in the bank. Now, can the server be busy if no customer? It's impossible. Got it? Now queue is not empty. Can server be idle? It's impossible. Queue is not empty means server will be busy. Server can't be idle. Okay. So this is about today's session. Thank you for listening.